This is World Now. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin here in Africa, where the Human Rights Watch group says armed groups have massacred villagers, displaced people, and Christian worshippers in the country. The rights group alleges that the ever-increasing cases of attacks on civilians by the Islamist armed groups have claimed the lives of at least 128 civilians across Burkina Faso since February 2024 in attacks that violate international humanitarian law and constitute war crimes. The two main Islamic groups linked to Al-Qaeda, the Support of Islam and Muslims, and the Islamic State control large swathes of land and have been fighting with the Burkina forces since they entered the country in 2016. From May to July, the Human Rights Watch says it interviewed 37 people, including 31 witnesses, to attacks on civilians. The United Nations General Assembly is demanding that Israel ends what it calls its unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory within 12 months. The General Assembly has adopted a Palestinian-drafted, non-binding resolution on the demand. There were 124 votes in favor and 14 against it, including Israel, along with 43 abstentions. As a non-member observer state, Palestine could not vote. The resolution is based on a July advisory opinion from the UN's highest court that earlier said Israel was occupying the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip against international law. The Palestinian ambassador called the vote a turning point in his country's struggle for freedom and justice. But his Israeli counterpart denounced it as diplomatic terrorism. And the battle between Israel and Lebanon is no doubt taking new turns. Tuesday saw thousands of pagers exploding, but today, walkie-talkies are doing the same. Israel's Mossad spy agency is suspected to be targeting Hezbollah members who are affiliates of Hamas. Israel has been warring with them since the 7th of October last year. We have a report on this developing story.
After the explosion of thousands of electronic devices in 2 days, Lebanon is no doubt under tension. Several Lebanese reportedly do not know whether or not to stay beside or near their electronic devices, including laptops. Now, walkie-talkie blasts have allegedly killed 20 persons and injured at least 450. Tuesday, pager explosions killed 12 persons and injured more than 2,000. Israel has not officially commented on the blasts, but the country's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, has been quoted to say it's a new phase in the war. The leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, is to give a televised speech today. Meanwhile, the EU's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, says the explosions in Lebanon are disturbing and risk causing a dangerous escalation. He says even if the attacks seem to have been targeted, they have heavily done collateral damage to civilians and their possessions. Just 2 days ago, the Israeli government said its military's focus has shifted to the north. This is as the war in Gaza continues. It is yet unclear if Israel's current battle tactic will provoke a wider conflict in the Middle East region.
A global affairs analyst, Dr. Ambrose Ogboke, joins me live via Zoom from Enugu for more on this development in the Israel-Hamas war. Dr. Ogboke, good to have you join us on World Now. You know, some have described these latest attacks as only seen in movies. What's your reaction to these pager walkie-talkie scenario?
Well, I've always known that digital technology is a very dangerous phenomenon. Anybody who does not know that is living in denial. Most of these companies that make these digital devices have components that make them able to track it. have components that make, some of them have components that maybe to store, so that even if you delete messages or delete images or delete whatever, the company has a way of storing those data. Some of this is tracked by satellites. I remember the former Angolan warlord, Savimbi, was tracked into the forest because he used technology to make calls. So that shows to tell you that the world is not safe, because these technologies are being controlled by a few people and are remotely controlled, so they can be detonated at any time. What has happened is, according to reports, is that it was not even Israel that manufactured this. So it's even more dangerous that third parties outside the manufacturer can get access. These things were just hacked into and then were used as weapons. You know, phones, pagers, walkie-talkies are now being used as weapons. Because these are easy, because for example, the walkie-talkies use frequencies, they use spectrum, communication spectrum that are assigned to it. So it is in a wave. And once one can get access to that, then it can be infiltrated. And that's what Israel has done. And it is a very alarming. And it's a new warfare. We have biological warfare, we have the chemical warfare, we have nuclear warfare. This is now the digital warfare. The digital warfare we used to know before is stealing of data, crashing of systems, sending malware, phishing, and all those things. But this new one is actually using a bomb, using the digital technology as a bomb to target your enemies. And it was so concise. I think the world should start beginning to worry.
All right. And, talking about this being new era, really, Israel has indirectly acknowledged its role in the attacks, saying that a new era of war was beginning and that the center of gravity... I can hardly
hear you.
Okay, I'm talking about what Israel has said. Indirectly, it seems to have, said it carried out these attacks because it has said that a new era of war was beginning and that the center of gravity...
I can't hear you very well.
And at the center of gravity is moving north. What do you consider to be the implication of this for the Middle East region at this time?
I can't hear you.
All right, if you can hear me now, I'm wondering what you think the implication of this is for the Middle East as a region about this ongoing war. All right, we'll try to reconnect with Dr. Ambrose Iwoki for some more perspective on the Israel-Hamas war, which has now taken new dimensions with the pager, walkie-talkie attacks. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we have more on Well Down.